Hello, darlings, and welcome to today's show. Listen, you don't want to miss it. We are talking, of course, giving you your weekly COVID-19 update. But one of the things that we are going to do is we have a friend of the show telling their story on how they are recovering from COVID-19. Hello, darlings, and welcome to today's show. Thank you for joining us on Wake Up Well. I'm so excited to see you guys because last week we did not have a show. But listen, today's show is going to be amazing. It's going to be so good. I'm super excited because you guys know I am never alone. I am being joined by one of my co-hosts, Marty Sellers, our favorite and absolutely amazing mental health professional. So you guys come in. I want to make sure that you guys are inviting people to this broadcast. Share. Zeta, hello, darling. She's out there on the YouTubes. Jasmine, hello, darling. Thank you so much for joining. She is on the YouTube. Look at us going over to YouTube. So share. You guys, I want to say thank you to you guys that are viewing right now. Also, those that will watch the replay. And maybe you're watching this months later. But listen, the content is amazing. And we are so happy that you are here. So one of the things that we love to do here is that we want to know, what are you grateful for? What are you guys grateful for today? You know, I am super grateful just because I get the opportunity to do this show. And before I ever got to do this show, I met a guy that I reached out to and said, hey, could you come in and could you do some mental health work? And he said yes. And ever since that, we've had just a great relationship and it's just blossomed into a friendship. And I'm so grateful for him. He's on the show today. He is our co-host, Martinez Sellers. And so I'm so grateful for him. That's what I'm grateful for. So while we're going through, I want to know what it is that you're grateful for today. Listen, there's a lot going on in the world, but you know what? The one thing that we can control is how we respond and what we decide we are going to meditate on. And so even today, I want to make sure that you're realizing that we all have something to be grateful for. So let us know in the comments what it is that you're grateful for today. Let us know what you're grateful for today. If you guys heard me as I was welcoming people in, I said they're over on the YouTube. Why did I say that? Because we need you to go over and we need you to subscribe on YouTube to Portia Scott Media. Why? Because this is the last Sunday. Listen, this is the last Sunday that you will be able to watch it, but you will not be able to comment unless you're on YouTube. We're going to make sure that you guys are able to see it via Facebook. But what we really want to do is we really want to push you to YouTube. So if you want to comment, you want to be a part of the conversation, you got to go over to YouTube. Portia Scott Media. Make sure that you subscribe. That's where we're going to be hanging out. It gives us the ability to scale. It gives us the ability to have a larger audience. It just does a lot for what we're trying to do here. And so we want to see you over there. So listen, I want to make sure that you guys are part of the conversation and part of impacting humanity. One of the ways that we do that here at Portia Scott Media is that we have partnered and became ambassadors with Caring for Girls. This is our act of kindness. When I created the Wake Up and Show Up podcast, when I started thinking about Portia Scott Media, the one thing that I wanted to do was to create a kinder world. And the way that we do that is by impacting humanity, one step at a time. So we get the opportunity to impact humanity and impact lives of girls in South Africa and in different countries where they are not able to afford sanitary napkins during their monthly cycles. Your donation, listen to this, one donation of $21.99 will be able to give a girl sanitary supplies for an entire year. So listen, if you go to the link right here in the comments, you can go there, you can donate. $21 will give one girl a full supply. What happens oftentimes is that research has shown 51% of girls in poor countries, and especially in South Africa and the like, is that they miss school. They miss school because they don't have the necessities that they need to take care of themselves. So we're changing that. We want to make sure that these girls are going back to school. Why? Because we want to make sure that they're part of the economy. We want to make sure that they're part of society. We want to hear what they have to say. And so we're going to let their genius go down the drain because of a monthly cycle? Absolutely not. So we thank you so much for your donations. And that is our act of kindness. Ray, thank you so much. He said, I'm in. Valerie said she's grateful for the anointing. Hello, darling. Hey, Paula. Thank you so much for joining. Chasmin said she is grateful for salon pause. That girl, she done hurt her back. Rosetta said, I'm grateful for my family's health. While you guys are putting in while you're grateful, I want to bring in my co-host. So you guys join me in welcoming my co-host for today, mental health professional, Mental Health Matters with Marty, Martinez Sellers.
Hello there. How are you?
Hey, Marty, how are you? I'm good. How are you?
Excellent. Thank you. So good to be here today.
It's so good to see you. So, Marty, what are you grateful for?
You know, Portia, I'm grateful just like you. I'm grateful for you. I'm grateful for Portia Scott Media and the opportunity just to come on here with you and Doc every week just to share about COVID, to also, as you help me launch my own platform with everything, just grateful for that and for Pastor John. Yes, the whole Scott family. I'm a part of it now.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You know, he's at Portia Scott Media, he's actually our largest investor. And so we love to make sure that we identify him, you know, because he's the venture capitalist in a lot of this stuff. So.
Okay. Well, we always have to acknowledge the donors.
Yes. And we're also so grateful for our executive producer, not only on my show, but also on your show that you have. So I'm going to do a shameless plug for Marty, but every Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern, right?
Eastern, yes.
7 p.m. Eastern, he has a show called 44 Black Men.
Yes.
And Marty, is it going through July only or?
No, it looks like we are going to be pushing this through August as well, because it has taken on a whole life of its own. And the whole purpose of that is to show the different walks of we as Black men and that we have, especially during this time that Black Lives Matter and this whole movement. Right. The imagery of Black men is so tainted and so just wrong that we wanted to show different Black men of all ages, of all backgrounds, of all type of walks of life, and show the strength that we as Black men have in supporting each other and being great fathers and being great leaders and being great providers and being great business owners. It doesn't matter. All those walks of life to help change the portrait and image that the world has of Black men.
I love that. I love that. So you guys, if you are not following, make sure that you follow Marty. Rosetta said we love Mental Health Matters so
Thank you,
good.
Rosetta. Thank you. We are trying.
So you guys, Deisha, hello, darling. Thank you so much for joining. So you guys know we are usually joined with the incomparable Dr. Donovan Christie.
Yes.
Well, Doc is in Denver with his son celebrating his 30th birthday, but also Doc is celebrating his wedding anniversary.
Wow.
So although we miss him, Doc, we want to say we miss you, but happy anniversary. And we hope you are having an incredible time and getting the rest that you deserve. So
he and his wife posted some amazing pictures, so I saw them earlier. So happy anniversary to them both. They're such amazing, amazing people.
I know. So, Marty, you know what? We don't have him, but we are going to get into it. It is 7:12. Let's get into this. One of the things that I did want to bring up, I'm going to put my doc hat on.
Okay.
And so I want to go over the cases. And one of the things that I do want to say is as I go over the cases, you know, Doc isn't here. So just listening to the numbers, sometimes we don't have context around those numbers and we just hear the numbers. But I do think it's important that we do hear what's going on. Of course, Doc will be back and he'll provide the
Right,
context.
right.
So we'll talk about the numbers, and then we're going to talk to our friend from the show that's going to really talk about their recovery from coronavirus and talk
Okay.
about the physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, all of that
Yes.
stuff. So let me just go ahead and get into the numbers for what I see and what I've
Mm-hmm.
looked up. And so total cases right now in the United States is 3.7 million cases.
Wow.
And the total death is 140,466. And that was about an hour ago. And I'm in Georgia. So I wanted to look at those numbers here in Georgia. And so in Georgia, confirmed cases is 143,123. And that is a report from today. Hospitalizations are about 15,000. ICU admissions are almost at 3,000. So for me, it's context, right?
Right.
And so one of the things that I wanted to see was what that looked like for me. The kids are getting ready to go back to school. You guys know my
Mm-hmm.
kids are gonna be home.
Right,
We're gonna play it safe. But
right.
in Georgia, the county that I live in, Marty, Gwinnett
Mm-hmm.
County, they have confirmed cases 13,444. It is the top of the top five. It is
Yeah.
number one.
Wow.
And so they've had 198 deaths. And I want to say something about these numbers
Mm-hmm.
because, like I said, we got to put context, but it's pretty clear, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, but one of the things is, and I've heard this about like, oh, the number is only 198. To be honest, if the number was one, it's too much.
It's too much.
It's
Yes.
too many. And the reason why we did this show was because we wanted to bring, right, we wanted to bring that holistic approach
Mm-hmm.
to what COVID looks like. So we had the mental health from you, and also
Right.
from Doc, we had the medical standpoint.
Yes.
So I just want to say, my brother-in-law, Georgia, is doing the most right now. Fix it. Yes, fix it, Jesus. Fix it. Um,
Right. We have
Dion,
to.
hello, darling. Thank you so much for joining. Abby Phillips, that's who you remind me of, the CNN correspondent. Come on, come on,
All
Dion.
right, Abby.
Yes, I love it. But I wanted to put that numbers out, and then I actually jumped to. Hello, Raheem. I actually jumped to California because
Mm-hmm.
you're there, and so
Yes.
and it said that California has a confirmed 384,692 cases.
Yes. Yes. Portia, I was listening to CNN just yesterday, and it talked about how now America is 1/4 of all the confirmed cases in the world. That's crazy, considering that we're supposed to be this advanced culture, this technologically savvy nation that's supposed to be on the top of the food chain, but yet we are on the bottom of it when it comes to taking care of our health and managing and navigating through this pandemic. We are not doing it well at all.
Right. It's so much. We've been
Mm-hmm.
doing this for these 4 months. And it's so funny. When we started, I thought maybe we do this for 2 months. Maybe we
Right,
do it for a
right.
month. And then at one point we thought it was over. We were like, oh, this is
We're
good,
good.
but
Yes.
it's 4 months in. And I think one of the things that with Doc and with you is that we've been able to bring these concrete kind of
Mm-hmm.
things to the forefront. What is
Mm-hmm.
this medication looking like? What are
Right.
the communities that are being hit? The Black and brown communities are
Mm-hmm.
still being hit so hard with this, right? And it's not just the deaths, but COVID is affecting economically. And so where you
Right.
already had a gap, now you really have this gap because now we're losing jobs. And
Yes.
it's just so much going on. I love having you on because one of the things I want to be able to give is people hope, even in the
Yes.
midst of this, that we don't deny that this is crazy, but being able to give hope
Right.
to people. And I feel like even when we come with the numbers and we say all this stuff, even with Doc, we're still able to give
Right.
people that hope.
But even the numbers are shifting on
Mhm.
who's getting it now,
Mhm.
and
Let's
now
talk
we're
about that.
definitely looking at that age group and that um, upper teens, 20s, and 30s now. That was the age group that was getting it when it first started. They were the ones who
Mhm.
were the least ones who were getting infected by it. And now, because a lot of their guards are down, can I say it that way, that
Mhm.
they're the ones who are now, and they're also the ones who are carriers of it the most as well. And so it's totally done a shift in that. And it just, at this point, we're seeing a lot more infants getting it.
Right.
And we have to be vigilant. We have to go back to being vigilant about how we take care of this thing called COVID-19.
Right. And I think, and yes, we're relying on leadership, we're relying on
Mm-hmm.
all of these things, but you know what? At the very bare minimum, it's about
Mm-hmm.
taking care of one another.
Yes.
That's what it is
Yes.
taking care of one another, is making sure we wash our hands,
Yes.
wearing our mask,
Yes.
being 6 feet away from somebody,
Yes.
And so just making sure we put those in place, because you know what? More I care about my family, I care
Mm-hmm.
about your family too. It's like the
Mm-hmm.
golden rule. Like, where did that
Right.
happen? And I think when we're looking at that, that is what we're looking at, is
Mm-hmm.
just taking care of human beings
Yes.
together.
Yes.
So, like I said, when we started this, we just wanted to bring hope. We wanted to bring, it was so much going on. And I was like, we need to really get down to the real numbers, what's really
Mm-hmm.
happening. At least people can have a safe place to come and get
Right.
the information. Trish, yes, take care of one another.
Mm-hmm.
Take care of, come and get the information that we had, like, at one solid place. And it's so funny, when we did this, I was like, this would be crazy if somebody from the show got COVID-19.
Right.
Like, it was a thought in my head, but I always was like, I would never say that out loud. Like,
Nah.
nah, but you think
Not
about
us.
it, because we talk about it all the time.
Right.
We're doing the work. There's no way we're going to get it. We're taking our elderberry. We're taking
Where?
our lime water, our lemon water. I mean, we're going to get tested. We are
Right.
doing all of the things. I'm not going out. I wasn't even eating out. You closed down your whole facility. Doc is in complete PPE. You guys, and so we never thought. It was a thought. It was literally just like like, you can't control everything you think about,
Right.
but you can
Right.
control what you meditate on. And I was like, oh no, that's a
Mm-mm.
fleeting thought. Like, no,
Yeah.
no, no.
Let that one leave.
And so, if you were on the show 2 weeks ago, you may have heard me, Doc, and Marty talking. And if you saw Marty, you would know that he was not well at all. I tried to get him not to do the show, but we didn't know. We just knew you were sick before the show. I had tried to pray the heavens down because I
Right.
wanted to make sure my Marty, what? I mean, you look so terrible, Marty. And I can say it now, but you looked bad, brother.
But you know what? In the midst of it, you don't know how bad you are. Oh my God. So, in the midst of all that, I was trying to fight through that thing, and
you
I
had,
did not want to admit that I had tested positive for
but you hadn't,
COVID.
right? At
At
that
that
point,
point,
you
I
hadn't.
hadn't physically tested, but I knew something was going
You
on.
knew.
I knew something was going
So,
on.
so you guys know who the friend of the show is that got COVID, Marty. So we've been keeping it under wraps. We've been like texting and talking and just like, oh my
Oh,
goodness, what's going on? Doc knew.
yes.
I think Doc knew when you guys talked after the show. I think he was like, you look bad.
I was trying to do
So,
everything to fake it, and
yes.
I came on camera, and you guys were like, "What is wrong with you? You look horrible." I'm like,
Right. Like, Marty, you were like shades of gray. I mean, it was bad. It was bad.
I felt worse too. I felt absolutely
I know.
horrible.
So listen, and Marty, it's so funny that week. And you guys, if you are in here, share this broadcast. We are laughing because he's okay. But let me tell you, we were all like up in arms, stressed and everything. But so I want to make sure you're sharing this broadcast so you can see someone that has had COVID, has recovered, and we're going to talk
Lord.
a little bit about his story. But that particular week, Marty, I tried. My brother-in-law is on here, Asher. He tried. I had everybody calling and texting people that they knew that had
Right.
COVID. And one of the things that they kept saying was, I'm not ready. Like I'm
Right.
not mentally ready. It
Mm-mm.
wasn't that their physical was not, able to do it. They weren't ready mentally. And
All
I just
right.
had to take a seat back and say, and I was like, I completely understand. But I think it wasn't until I heard them say that I was like, wow, wow, this is, I just didn't know what the response was going to be. I thought people were going to
Right.
say, oh, well, I just don't want to come on camera. But they were like, I mentally am not ready.
Mm-hmm.
And so, Marty, let's talk a little bit about your
Sure.
story. You came on that Sunday, but when did you start feeling bad?
Probably that Wednesday evening. So I had already had about a good 4 days that I had
Okay.
already felt absolutely horrible.
Hmm.
And it's a mental thing. It really is. I didn't want to admit it. I'm like, no, I'm doing all the right things. I'm trying to stay home. We have limit. I'm not even seeing clients face to face. So how can this happen to me? We're doing all the right things, and I'm wearing a mask. I'm getting plenty of sleep and doing what I'm supposed to do, drinking, listening to Doc, doing all what he said, trying to take my zinc and trying to take every type of vitamin D and vitamin C and everything, and it just hit me like a ton of bricks.
Yeah. So what was like the first symptom? I'm gonna say this the other day. I think it was actually last Saturday or Sunday, and John's in the bed and he's like coughing, and I'm like, like I got the side eye on him. Like honestly, I couldn't even sleep half that night because I was like, one, I'm worried about him. Like, oh my god, if
Right,
he got it, but
right,
it'd be best if I didn't get it. If you do
right.
have it, so should I leave the bed? And going back and forth. So,
Well, thank you.
what was kind of I know she said you look amazing now,
Thank you.
Marty. So initially, did you just think it was a cold? Like, what was or were the symptoms like
No, the
immediate?
the symptoms for me. What did John say?
He's laughing about the fact that I was like, I don't want him to get it, but it would be better if I didn't get it. Like somebody got to take care of somebody. We got 3 kids.
I
Like,
understand. You're like, listen, you keep your sick behind right here, and I'm gonna go over here. We're gonna tape up the door, everything. No, one of the immediate symptoms that I got was it felt like a Mack truck had hit my body.
wow.
Where I could not move, and I'm just going, "What happened?" It's just immediate, and the way it came upon, my son wasn't feeling well, and he had called Trisha before he even called me, talking about I don't feel well. I'm like, how you gonna call someone else and I live in the same house with you and say you're not feeling well? And then a day later, I felt it. And then Trisha felt it. My mother was already not feeling well, and so she had really stopped eating. And that concerned me because my mother just turned 74. And I'm going, So I just thought maybe she wasn't feeling well and all of that. And so now I'm down, my son's down, my mother's down, and I had just also had my LASIK surgery the Friday beforehand. It was just a mess. And so all that's going on. And then my daughter's godmother came and just took her and was like, oh no, we're not going to get her infected. So I have not seen my baby in 3 weeks.
Oh,
Um, I know, but I much rather make sure she is safe.
mhm.
She actually got tested too. She did not like the test. She goes, "That thing was terrible, Dad."
I know the nose swab,
Oh yeah,
right?
she
So
did the nose, and she did not like it.
yeah, so it's I know we had the talk, you were on here that Sunday and then
Mm-hmm.
you guys kind of went incrementally to get tested. So as
Yes,
everyone was getting tested, is that when you were like, "Oh, we got it." So who was the first person that got tested in the
Trisha.
family? Trisha, and then Trisha's came. How long did it take for the test to come back?
I think for Trisha it took three or 4 days that hers came back. We're still slow out here, and we need more of those rapid tests. They really do, because by the time that it comes, you're they confirm that you're positive, you already know that you are positive at that point in time because of all the symptoms. You're like, I don't need the test to tell me I'm positive now. My body racks with pain. I had a migraine that
Mhm.
would not go away for 6+ days. No matter what no matter what I did, I could not lift my head off the pillow. At that point in time, you're starting to get nauseous, all of those things. I was taking Tylenol, I was taking whatever, and nothing was giving. Okay, Trisha was 3 to 4 days. There she
Three to
goes.
4 days. Okay.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
at that point in time, now I'm losing taste. Um, this horrible taste was in my mouth, and now I'm not tasting food. I don't want to eat. I don't want to do
Wow.
anything. I laid there in bed. I'm sleeping 12, 13, 14 hours a day, forcing myself to get up. Now I'm upstairs and my mother is downstairs. So now
Okay.
I'm forcing myself to go downstairs to make sure she's eating. She's not eating. So now I have to make sure I'm fixing her food. With that, I'm just going, I don't want to do this. Uh, uh,
Oh, so Trisha said, and only because I went through my doctor, my daughter tested through the county on 7/7, and she still does
right,
have results.
right.
So is Trisha's daughter showing symptoms?
No, no,
Okay.
not at all.
Okay.
Trisha's daughter is a little bit of a germaphobe and a little OCD, and we appreciate that when you you need those things
Right.
during this time. She quarantined Trisha so bad and made her stay in her room, not come out. And thank God for Kira,
Right.
and she just took care of Trisha. So I would look up, and Trisha has sent stuff from Amazon to my house, from Target, humidifiers, you
Oh,
name it, thermometers, zinc. She used to find stuff online. I don't know where she finds stuff. I'm having uh, uh, Lysol, you name it, being delivered to the house and
right.
everything. So
And one of the things we're gonna keep the guilty of not.
well,
I
thank
love
God.
you. I love you. But
My
I
son has admitted it was him. He has admitted it was
so it
him.
was so
And
talk
it
a
was
little
so
bit about
innocent.
that. I know that's the thing. Like,
It is, but it's that 20-year-old group. God bless them. And Portia, let's be honest, we were 22. I don't know if I would have understood it to that
that's
degree.
right. That's right.
And everything when the world has now shut down and we don't understand it. And yes, we've had these conversations, and yes, he's like, oh, Dad, you're kind of going overboard and all that. And so unfortunately he and some of his friends tested positive and they didn't know it. And so in hanging out with friends, and that's how we're seeing this spike.
Hmm.
Totally innocent young people hanging out, old, just people hanging out. And what they're saying, one of the biggest kind of reinfectors of it, if I can say it that way,
That's
is
right.
because of just family gatherings that maybe got a little too large, as well as friends hanging out and not knowing, not being able to trace back who they're hanging out with and taking people for their word. And
Right.
so, unfortunately, his friends caught it and he brought it home, and it just kind of went that way. And I felt so bad for the kid because he feels absolutely horrible,
I
and
know.
he does.
And
And I say it happens. Was I angry? Of course I was angry.
mhm.
Of course I was mad. But I had to love him past all of that because he was equally as sick.
That's so
Um,
powerful, Marty.
I
That's
had
so
to.
powerful because, I mean, when we get it, right,
Hmm.
most likely it's probably somebody, or if we get it, it's most likely somebody close to us,
Hmm.
that infected us, right? It's
Right.
probably somebody that we're friends with, that we thought it was okay to do whatever, our family and so you're both feeling sick, but you had to love him through this.
Sure.
And, I didn't want to I didn't want to put him out there. I wanted you to do that, if you wanted to. But what I wanted to show was how quickly it spreaded.
It was
So
quick.
you got it, Trisha got it, your mom got it, Christian that's 4 people
My
alone.
brother got it as well.
Your brother got it. That's
because there
five
was a whole
people.
series of June. So the second week of June was Trisha's birthday. The third weekend in June was Father's Day, and then the fourth weekend in June was my mother's birthday. And
Mhm.
so we had what we thought was our safety group with that, and so at this point in time, we're so grateful that none of my cousins got infected or anything like that. So it's just my brother.
Yeah.
So yes, it does make you go through a whole mental impact.
Yeah, let's segue a little bit into
Okay.
that too. And we'll talk a little bit more about how you kind of,
Mm-hmm.
recovered. What did your doctor say? What did this say?
Mm-hmm.
But let's really take that, what Trisha just said, is that he's dealing with his own mental health
Yes.
while he's dealing with the physical. And
Yes.
so how did you navigate that with him? Right? You're a mental health professional, but it's definitely different when it's in our house. So how
It
did you
is.
help him navigate that?
You know, for me, it's our children.
Mhm.
And I let him know that I was angry. I let him know as I was upset. My mother was angry for a little while. It took her a little bit longer to kind of get past that. And just let him know. Say, listen, we all make mistakes. Now you have to man up, if I could say it that way, and accept responsibility for your actions by doing what you can to make sure your grandmother. I said, I'm going to be fine. I'm going to push through this, but you have a responsibility to make sure that your grandmother is also taken care of as well as you take care of yourself, and we take care of each other as a family. So we don't do anything. We make sure everyone has tea. We make sure everyone is eating. We make sure everyone is getting proper rest. We all combine and make sure we're doing all the chores that we need, all of those things, and we talk through it with it. And so with that, it gave him permission to say, Dad, I messed up. Dad, I'm so sorry. And Dad, what can I do to fix this?
Right. I love that. I love the honesty in it, right? And having
You
that
have to be.
conversation. And so I can only imagine that, if it was somebody else and that mental
Hmm.
situation, like I said, when we first came on, it was very hard for me to find someone that would come on and tell their story because they were saying they were not mentally ready. So,
It
Marty,
takes you
you're,
through a roller coaster. It
yeah,
really does. I've never been this sick before in my entire life.
right.
And to deal with it, to hear it, and now say, this is not just something I've heard. Now this is something I'm experiencing, and I am not ready for it. One, mentally. Two,
Wow.
I'm not ready for it physically. And three, I don't even know how long this is going to last, because there's so many unknown things about it. And you do everything that you can to stay well, to fight through it, but there are days that you're just going, I don't even want to deal with this today. I
Right.
don't even want to deal with this. I'm tired of soup. I'm tired of tea. I'm tired of just all of this crap, and I just want it to go away.
Yeah. How did you deal with that, Marty? Like how did you, because that's the truth of it, is that
Hmm.
one, it's different when you're like, I probably have it, but it's different when you have it. Like
Yes.
when your test came back positive and you
Hmm.
were pretty much going through it still. But how do you deal with that mentally? And how would you help someone else navigate the mental part of I am sick and I know what this virus has
Hmm.
done.
Right.
My 80-year-old mother is here. We've talked you're so close to the information. We've talked
Yeah.
about the death.
Yes.
We've talked about
Yes.
the hospitalizations. We've talked
Yes.
about all these things. And so how do you mentally stay in a point where you're like, how do I even navigate this that way?
You know what? For me, it was knowing what I am capable of, and knowing my own strengths and weaknesses, knowing where I am at, knowing how I heal, and even knowing how I get through sickness myself. Yes, people always give you wonderful advice, and I didn't even tell my church for probably the first week, because I just needed to process it myself first and foremost, and then getting through the sweats and getting through the coughing and getting through all of that. You just suffer through it. with it. And I just had to keep reminding myself, this too shall pass. This too shall pass. It might last 2 weeks, it might last 3 weeks, but I'm going to get through this. This is not my end. I have too much to live for and too much to still yet do to allow this to be the end of what I'm supposed to be doing. And I just did a lot of prayer, a lot of meditation. My sleeping patterns were off. It was horrible. I would wake up about midnight and not go back to sleep till 3 or 4 in the morning. So I listened to a lot of Layla Hathaway.
Mm.
I'm a Layla
Love
fan.
Layla. I mean, who doesn't love her? Like,
Oh, Layla kept me
I was
through
gonna
it.
say, if that doesn't make you feel good, I'm telling
Layla
you.
and Joe, between those two, they were
Oh, Trey says, hello, hello,
Trey.
Trey. Love you, Marty.
Love you
Trey, you're
likewise, my
so
brother. Yes,
kind.
he is.
So tell us a little bit. So, um, did you have the coughing? Because that's a big thing. It's
Yes.
like the coughing. And it's funny. I messaged Trisha and I was
Uh huh.
like, "How are you doing?" And I was a little nervous because I know people don't want people to know, and I was like, but I want to let her know I'm thinking about her. And so,
Right.
and she really talked about the fatigue, which you have talked about.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about that coughing and the respiratory part of it.
Oh, that I think is one of the most horrible things. I would cough non-stop. I went through Robitussin and everything, and I'm calling. Trisha's fussing at me. My mother's fussing at me. Everyone's like, "Call your doctor." I'm like, "What the hell is my doctor going to do?" Nothing. So at that point, I was a little bitter and angry. Um, but with it, the coughing is just a part of the process. And how do you do that? You got to get out there and exercise. I kept hearing docs say, walk, Marty, walk, Marty. Get out there and get that vitamin D. And I would just literally walk and force myself to walk, even when I did not feel like it. My mother could only walk to the end of the block and back. That's how
Mhm.
weak she was. But I would force myself to walk. This past Friday, I got out and walked about 4 miles, but it really is about building up your lungs and making sure I'm sleeping on my stomach, doing whatever I could, sleeping with a humidifier,
Mhm.
all those things, because the one thing you don't want it to do is settle in your lungs. So I would force myself to do physical activities such as walking and walking up and down my stairs and
Mhm.
making sure that, and yes, I had shortness of breath at time. But I was like, I'm not going to let this defeat me. And that's kind of how I got over it. In that regards, by the time my doctor finally got back to me, I was like, I was done with the coughing almost at that point in time. But
Right.
thank God for Robitussin DM.
So let's talk about that because you actually went to the doctor, and we've been on with Doc. I can't wait till he's on next week because but you went to the doctor, and the thing that Doc has been saying is that you can go, but there's really nothing that they can do. They test you,
So
you
the
test
good thing
positive,
is about
but what did he say? What
yeah,
was your
well,
doctor?
my doctor, because I did everything via email and back and forth. So I actually did not physically go in because he's like, "Oh no, you got it. No need to come in. No need to infect everyone else." So
Mhm.
he and I, for about 3 days, kept going back and forth. He's just kept, and what I love he does, because I've had my doctor for over 15 years. He and his nurse just kind of reaffirmed me that I was going through all the right symptoms, I was doing all the right things, and that I just had to keep pressing through it. He's like, "There's nothing really I want to give you. Um, and you're strong enough and healthy enough to fight through it so that you're not dependent upon any type of medication or anything like that." I'm like, "Are you serious?" So I had to fight through it.
Yeah, I'm sure that gave you though the reassurance, right? Because it's like
Yes.
and I think that's the hard part is that a lot of people may not have that relationship with their doctors or,
Yes.
and so you go in, you get tested, but are they following up? Are they even, I just don't know. I can't say yes or no. All I
Hmm.
can say is even with testing, I feel like your primary care physician, there should be communication going out. I didn't get
Totally.
that. So I will say that when all this is over, I'm totally looking for a new, because
Yeah.
it's in these moments that you realize, like, I've literally been going to you for six
Yes.
years, and I
Yes.
never received a communication. Not even to say, hey, these are some of the testing sites. We're not
Mm-hmm.
testing. These are some of the symptoms. These are
Mm-hmm.
some of the, things you should be doing. These are
Mm-hmm.
things that should be communicated to your patient population, the
Yes.
people who are paying the bills, who have been seeing you, and we're relying on you. We
Yes.
trust you. You know our health. Something to
Yes.
say, hey, let's grab the data from
Yes.
all of our patients that are in that group, that 65 or
Yes.
older or had pre-existing conditions. Let's grab them and let's make sure we send them an email. We're communicating with them what
Right.
they need to be doing. This is how you stay
Right.
healthy. Make sure you do
Right.
this. Even if you have specialists and stuff, what are
Mm-hmm.
they doing to say, we don't
Mm-hmm.
have the test, but if you start to feel this, go immediately. Tell them that
Yes.
you're this. Like, there's no way that people should have to come on to Facebook. And not just us, there's other people that
Right.
may be doing shows. There's no
Right.
reason why people should have to come to Facebook to get all the information, to find out that, oh, there's some sites in CVS that are doing it. Oh,
Mm-hmm.
there's some doctors that are doing it. Oh, the rapid test, And so I think it's kudos to your doctor, and
Heck yeah.
and I mean, I love healthcare professionals. I was in healthcare for so very long, but I think that when the rubber meets the road, this is when
Yes.
people who may not have been, and maybe he was in the hospitals helping out. I don't know, but what I am saying is most of them have administrative staff, and um,
Yes.
and I do think that, yeah, a personal relationship with your doctor is awesome. Is that he said, you have it. This is what you should do. And
Yeah.
that gives you the reassurance, because so many people are like, I got it. And I'm so
Mm-hmm.
scared. I'm a
Yes.
40-year-old woman, but I'm healthy, but I got it. Am I going to make it? And I think that
Yes.
we don't realize how reassurance helps.
Exactly. And you know what? I'll say this: the Kaiser where I live has absolutely been absolutely fabulous. Even when,
Kaiser is amazing.
yes, even with my mother, with my mother, we did just the drive by testing, and they gave us an appointment. We drove through the garage. They had us park in the parking stall. They did her testing, and we just moved right on. Within 2 days, she was definitely diagnosed positive, and she actually got a call this past Friday from the public health nurse and everything, just to reassure her, to see how she was doing, all these other things like that. So I can say that we've had nothing but a great experience during this whole time to make sure that we are healthy and that they are following through with her because she's over 65. So it's
I
been
love that.
absolutely amazing in that regards.
Yeah, I love that. I think one of the things when you were telling me that you tested positive, I was like, Marty gonna be fine. But your mom was the one that I was concerned about. I knew her
Likewise,
age.
yes.
And can we talk a little bit about that?
Mm-hmm.
Like, you got
Mm-hmm.
sick, then did she start feeling kind of the same symptoms? What were some of her symptoms?
She
And is
actually
her
was feeling
recovery
it
been a little bit longer than yours?
a little bit. She was feeling it before us,
Mm.
and everything, and didn't probably realize what it was. My mother already has a compromised immune system, in that she's a diabetic and she has fibromyalgia and all these other wonderful things that she has as well. So we try to be very cautious with her. So,
Mhm.
but she actually got better before I did.
Wow.
Yes. And then she start kind of taking over, and I made you some soup. Sit down, eat. I'm like, excuse me. Uh,
Wow.
yes, yes. With that, so it's been a great road to recovery. In that regards, and so we are really about 90-95% better as a household. I came in, and then when I start having things cleaned, that's when I'm getting better. So I had all of my carpets cleaned, and they have these professional services out there that will come and
Hmm.
actually sterilize your house and all that. So
Hmm.
I'm going to definitely have that done before Tony comes back home.
Right.
And those type of things. We had our offices sterilized and cleaned again. Thank God no one from our office got sick
Yeah. Yeah.
in that regard. So that has been great in that regards as well. So
Yeah.
Yes, now it's really getting back to my patients and trying now to properly touch base with all 60 of them to let them know I'm okay. Um,
Right.
some of them have been a little antsy and yelling at my staff, so I'm going to have to get on some of them. Uh,
Right.
like, hey, if I didn't call you for a reason, there's a reason.
I
So,
know. And especially knowing this. Like, so
right.
how is your brother doing? And did anyone else in his house get it or just
My
your
brother
brother?
lives alone, thank God.
Okay,
So
okay.
it's just him. He went back to work, I believe, yesterday, and everything. So he's doing much better, and everything. But it was touch and go for him as well.
Hmm.
We all went through the body aches. We all went through the sweating, and I only went through like one day of a fever, which I'm so grateful
Oh,
for.
wow.
But everything else, then you're constantly washing your sheets and changing everything, and you know how your house just felt like, ugh, it
Like sick?
sick. Yes, I'm like, we gotta get rid of this sick feeling and this sick smell. This is driving me
Yeah.
crazy. So you're washing everything, you're lysoling everything down, you're burning candles, but whatever. Just couldn't
Yeah.
take it anymore.
Oh,
So
Marty, I am so happy that you guys are okay. I'm telling you,
thank you.
I would text you and it would be hours, sometimes days, and I'm like, okay, I didn't hear anything. Last week even Daryl was like, "Have you talked to Marty?" I was like, you know what? He did. He actually just texted me about an hour ago, but don't worry, because I had texted him like 5 hours ago, so I think he's okay. But
Yes.
yeah, just concerned. I'm so happy that you're feeling better.
Thank
I want to
you.
give people the opportunity though to ask their questions
Right.
to Marty. So if you're just joining, Marty just shared his story. He is a co-host on the Wake Up Well show and has
Hey,
been a
hey.
part of the team since March, since we started doing it.
Right.
And we never thought one of us would get it. And Marty and his family had it, but they are recovering. And so if you have any questions, make sure you put your questions in the comment because we will be answering those questions, whether it's questions to Marty or whether it's questions around mental health and COVID and, all of that stuff, because he is our mental health professional. And one of the things, Marty,
Mm-hmm.
that I wanted to really understand was as you're going through this, and
Mm-hmm.
obviously I know you cannot get it through the internet or through,
Right.
but because you had it and
Mm-hmm.
you were somebody I knew, I was like, wow, I could really get this. You
Yeah.
know, it just made it more real.
Yes. It made it real for all of us, in that regard. You try and do everything you can. And I just tell people, listen, be vigilant about your safety, be vigilant about your health. You don't want to get this. Nobody wants to get it. And especially with our loved ones, our children, and our elderly, we definitely don't want them to get this. It is real, it is still out there. It is not leveled out. It is not declining. We cannot, be lax in how we deal with this. Put on those masks. If you're feeling anything, take your vitamins, like Doc is saying. Take your elderberry. Take everything. The preventative side is so much better than actually having to fight from being positive. So, people, please do everything you can to stay healthy, to stay strong, to protect yourself, protect your loved ones. It's definitely not worth it for what it takes to fight through this thing. And, my fear for my mother is kind of the residual effects that it has. Am I 100%? No. There are still some days I still kind of say, I kind of still feel that a little bit. But
Mhm.
it's just remaining strong and healthy and doing what we can.
Absolutely. So Raheem has a question. He says,
Uh-huh.
was anyone asymptomatic in your family?
That's a good question. Probably my son for a while,
So you
and
think Christian had it
he
for,
he might have,
right?
at least for a couple weeks. But it takes about that amount of time for actually to develop and come
Hmm.
out. And once you kind of realize that you have it, you're almost past the contagious stage. In that.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying
See
because
what I'm
you're about
saying?
that 14 weeks,
Yes.
that 14 days.
Days.
Yeah, yeah,
Uh-huh.
yeah. Oh,
Uh-huh.
wow. So he could have had it in, but thank God, like Tony didn't get it. That's
Oh,
so,
that is so
I
amazing.
mean, I'm so grateful she didn't get it. I
Yes.
wonder what the difference was with her was when you were having all these things, was she not as around? But you guys live in the same house. I'm
We live
sure
at the
Christian
same
touches
house.
stuff and, eat off the same
Right.
plates and drink off, and so that's
Well,
so
Tony's
funny.
finicky.
Ah,
Tony's finicky.
those listen, okay, so this has not been medically proven, but if you have
Right?
OCD, you probably want to lean into that OCD around because apparently the OCD people are like, mm-mm,
Mm-mm. They like,
mm-mm.
we ain't touching your fork, we ain't touching your spoon, we ain't touching anything. Tony wants her own everything. So,
Yes.
yes.
Yes, I love it. And Trisha said, "Oh, what happens after you go through the 2 weeks of quarantine and
Mhm.
recovery? Are you tested and cleared by the health department?" That's a great question.
That is a great question. Definitely, I would recommend definitely going back and being retested. In that, you still have to take it easy because you still have moments where you just get tired all of the sudden, and I'm still sleeping probably more than I normally would.
Mhm.
But I think a lot of that is just because I'm still forcing myself to stay as quarantined as much as possible, in that regards, and making sure that I'm staying healthy as best as can be, because one of the things that definitely helps is rest. You got to get
Right.
the rest in. And I'm a little ADHD, just that much. Um and so staying still is driving me crazy.
I can
Uh
imagine.
oh yes, yes. But
I can
we
imagine.
made it through, and we are definitely grateful for that.
I want to
Huh.
answer it. So Trey has a question, and it's a question that a lot of people are concerned about.
Mm-hmm.
I'm so afraid with the school system
Ooh.
opening back up. My family will be exposed to COVID-19. How do you feel about that? Or do you have any advice for me and my family?
That is an excellent question. And you know what, Portia? I'm going to suggest that we possibly bring on Dr. Sean Stewart out of Houston, who is a school administrator.
That would be
And
perfect.
Dr. Stewart is also a cancer survivor, a two-time cancer survivor. So he
Wow.
already has a compromised immune system in that. So
Hmm.
he's trying to navigate through that. And Trey, I hear you. There are so many parents that don't know what to do during this point in time. And
Right.
I go with, you got to do what's best for your family. If it is homeschooling them and doing what you have to do until you feel that they can comfortably go back to school, they can't you can't get in trouble for protecting the health and wellness of your family with that.
Right.
It calls for some navigation. But Trey, I would definitely recommend do that what makes you and your family feel comfortable. It is not mandated that you have to send your kids back to school.
Hmm.
I think they're using a lot. Again, this is the opinion of Marty Sellers and not Portia Scott Media. In that clarity, we don't want to use our kids as guinea pigs until
Hmm.
we kind of find out what is really going on. State of California, LA County has says we're not sending any of our kids back to school. We might send them back in October. We don't know yet. At this
Right.
point in time, we are not going to risk our children until we figure out what is going on. I applaud LA Unified School District for saying
Yeah, for
that,
doing that. I
for
did
doing
I
that.
did hear
Hmm.
that. There was someone somewhere else where they did. So here in Georgia, and these are the opinions of Portia Scott, but not Portia Scott Media,
I hear you. I hear you.
the LLC. So
Right,
talk
right.
to them. But one of the things for us is that we are keeping our children home.
Hmm.
So in our where we are in Gwinnett County,
Hmm.
that has the highest cases,
Hmm.
they still are sending kids to school.
That is so
And
crazy.
so they're doing both. You could choose distance learning or you can
Right.
choose to go in person. Whereas some of the other counties that was on that.
Hmm.
So for Georgia, the top five are Gwinnett, Fulton, and Fulton is pretty much Atlanta and Atlanta
Yes.
proper. All of that.
Right.
They're second. Cobb and Hall, and I think DeKalb, Fulton, I think, and Cobb have decided that they're not going to send the kids in.
Right.
So for me, there's a couple things that we're trying to put in place. One, we want to see what this looks like. Apparently, what we think it's going to be is that they're going to do distance learning, but it's going to be like a day thing. So their teachers are going to be, there's going to be Zoom. So the kids that are in class will get the in class, and the kids distant will be there. So, for me, that just is safe for us. Do you feel online teachings is equal to in-person teaching? I think for me, there's definitely a difference, right? When you go in person, you have the social aspect. You can really ask your questions real time. But I also think that our children have been brought up in a very technological world. And so where in person really, really was a big deal for us because that's all we had, that our children are able to navigate online. And so while it may take more, responsibility, more help from the parent, whereas in person doesn't require that much time, it's going to take more time, I believe, for the parent. But I think in this, for me and my family, is that my kids know how to navigate online. They do it all the time.
Right.
And so the questions that they have, my husband and I have even talked about bringing tutors in. So to help them out, that's what we're able to do. And that's what we want to do to make sure. Will they miss the social aspect? Likely. Yes, absolutely. But I think
they are so connected via social media.
That's the thing. I think it's hard for us in our generations to understand that if you asked me this when I was in school, absolutely. But because technology is leading the way, I mean, these kids know how to navigate that.
Yes.
And so, so I think that's a great question, though, Ellsworth. And I do feel like that in person is just that one-on-one thing. But when you look at public schools, my kids pretty much went to a private school. And so that one-on-one was very different from the one-on-one in public school. It is like, they listen, I got to get them out. I'm teaching. So your kids are still not, a lot of times they're not getting, that in person. So maybe this is the opportunity to do some new things as it relates to teaching and how your kids learn.
Because we're still using an antiquated educational system that was designed back in the 40s and 50s to reach our children in the 21st century. And we know that kids learn differently today than what they did during our time. We struggle with it. Especially by the time you got to high school, you're like, I'm over this thing. It is a holding tank just because we cannot afford to have all those kids, 16, 17, and 18, out into the general population. So what we do, we put them in school so we can hold them a little bit longer in that. But it is time for our educational system to be remodeled and changed.
Yes.
It's time for us to look at different learning styles and learning ways that kids can learn. I'm not an online person, but I like the interaction just because I'm an extrovert. However, we also show that there's too much statistics showing that there are some children who learn better in an online platform than what they do, and
That's
I can't these hybrid versions of schools now where they go for 1 or 2 days for a few hours and they get their assignments and check in with their teachers. That works for so many of our young people.
That's right.
It really does.
That's
so I think it's
good.
a great opportunity for us to reevaluate our educational system and the effectiveness that it has on our children.
I love that, Marty. People are just commenting, so I want to go through those comments. But this is what I wanted to say is that, for me, as I started to think about that, I was like, this is a great way. So I have a very, very creative child. And then I have a very, very scholastic child that is like, he can sit there and he will listen and he will do the work. Like he finds formulas really fun. Who does? But
God
whatever.
Bless him.
But
our future doctor.
But my creative child, even when she was in school, and one of the things they had to do was learn their Bible verses. And her teacher, because she didn't go, her teacher was very open-minded, and she would let her sing or dance out her
Yes.
scriptures, because that's how it spoke to her. So now
Yes.
that the kids are going to be home, I'm like, oh, these are some great things we could do together. Like we could do different projects that are not based on just make this or that, but
Right.
how is this going to speak to my child?
Yes.
And even in our church, we talked about kind of doing a co-op thing. And so
Okay.
we would have our kids, most of them are distance learning. And then one of the parents would come in and teach what they
Beautiful.
do. So we have a lot of technologists. They would come in
Beautiful.
and they would link that.
Mm-hmm.
So I understand, we have some healthcare professionals, right, doc, but we also have
Mm-hmm.
some other ones that could come in and say, this is why science is important, because I get to cut people up, like, just to
Yes.
put it together. And like you said, just the antiquated kind of,
But so many Midwest, and I'll say it this way, evangelical Christians in the Midwest are doing this very same model because they
mm,
don't. A lot of them don't trust it, and they will even have incorporated Bible in there. So
yes, that's
each,
true.
yeah, and therefore you have all these different experts having a 1 or 2 days a week for a few hours that's teaching this cohort of homeschoolers, and
Yep.
it's working. It
hmm
is.
I love it. So, okay, so let's go to Trey. I'm a dean of students. I'm forced to go back job wise. What do I do? Even though I will use all
Ooh.
precautions and follow the guidelines the school district has set forth, I do not trust being exposed to the illness. Please bring on the guest school administrator. I need some advice. Oh, that's so good. So, Trey,
Yes.
one of the things we'll do is we will reach out. Hopefully, he can come in next week. But yes, that's something that we're definitely going to take. And then I know Doc will be back too. But Marty, do you
Yes.
have anything for Trey?
Trey, I think it's really. Oh, that's such a good question. Um, because he's on a different level, being an
A dean
administrator,
of, yeah.
dean, yes, and that's a whole nother, and that's why I think that he and Dr. Stewart would actually be great together
I
because
think that's good.
yeah, because this is some of the struggles that they deal with because they also are sending out the message to the school as well. So they're kind of caught in this quandary. Do I not return? Do I return? How do I return? How do we make sure that as dean of students that I am
Right.
protecting? Wow, I'm going to pray for you. I wish I could say I had a simple answer. I don't,
Yeah.
but I think it definitely takes a collaboration of those who are in those fields to talk together and how they can be supportive of each other and come up with this master plan
Yeah, I
somehow.
think that's so important. School starts in about 2 weeks for us too. No,
Yes.
maybe like no, it's almost a month because they pushed it out. But I think that'd be good to have someone on to talk about it. So Marilyn says, "Do you believe our teachers will be focused more on teaching or virus protection, which would make them ineffective if focused on protection?" Whew,
Well,
Marilyn, that's good.
it is. But, what do? You still got to protect yourself as teachers. Teachers are scared. I was listening to an interview and they talked about how some of the teachers is like, I feel this is almost a death sentence to
Yep.
me
Mhm.
in
Well, you
that
heard about the
regards.
teachers in Arizona.
Hmm.
The three teachers, they were together. One of them got sick and she died.
Yeah,
And so
it's terrible.
I think they will be focused on protection. I mean, I
You
think it'll
can.
be, some people even now, some people believe this is a hoax. Okay. But teachers who are concerned, I think they will be very, very concerned about. I
And
would
then do you put up that
have
plastic
a family.
shield? Yeah. Do you put on the mask and everything and the gown like you're at a hospital? How do we
Right.
navigate through this?
Right.
That's
And then
one of the suggestions.
I know for our school system, they're saying, masks are recommended, but not everybody will be, if you don't want to wear one, essentially you don't
Mm-mm.
have to, which is why I'm not sending my kids back.
Right, right.
Um, right. Wear the mask.
Wear
Yes.
the
Wear the
mask.
mask.
Wear the mask.
And
I have so many masks now, it's ridiculous. But I'm going out here safe.
right. And so Trisha, yes, she makes such a good point. Um, and if they do go into the classroom, in all yeah, okay, stay right there, Daryl. And if they go back into the classroom, and then we'll pop back into the in California. But if they go into the classroom, they could suffer new anxieties and
Yes.
fears that will prevent them from focusing on their education and purpose. So are our kids really getting a better education because they go in because that's what we're used to? I think it's time
Right.
for change.
It is
And
definitely time
so
for
it is
change.
true. Like now and not only are the teachers, but children. All of our
Yes.
children are not elementary. We're sending middle school who
Right.
completely understand, have been on this. My daughter tells me more about coronavirus than I know on this show.
Right.
You
Right.
have high schoolers that are going in. So you're causing more
Yes.
anxieties to even students.
Yes.
So, I mean, we
And we
miss the
cannot
social
ignore
aspect,
that.
but exactly. So, can they really be social? I mean,
Well, yeah.
they're really in this classroom by themselves. They're 6 feet apart. I'm worried. The teachers are worried. I mean, it's a lot.
Yes, yes. Yeah, Dr. Story's on there. Dr. Story, how are you?
Yes,
Uh, and those are definitely things. We already have overcrowdedness already. And with that, so we have to, our prayer is really that we protect our most valuable commodity, and that is our children. And we just
absolutely.
want to encourage you. So Portia, yeah, we'll definitely put our brains together. Trey, I'll be reaching out to you. I'll be reaching out to Dr. Stewart as well, and let's see how we can what would be some of the best recommendations. And I have another person that I can definitely reach out to, Dr. Harris, and she has been in school administrations and all that on a charter school side as
Mm,
well, and
yeah,
looking
I love
at
that.
what can we do and how can we protect our children and help educate them during this pandemic that we're going
Yeah.
through.
And one thing Paula said, great idea. Next week, I have to let the school know um, whether her child will be doing homeschool, social distancing, or in the building. And this will be my son's senior year.
Yes, yes. We might have another class that graduates without being having all those senior activities. I can't even imagine what that was like. That's part of the senior experience.
I know, I
You'll
can't
have a senior
imagine.
ditch day, prom, all of those things. We went to, because I'm in Southern California, we had grad night at Disneyland. So, you know,
Yes. That's nice. I think John did something like that too. He graduated in California too.
yes, yes.
We're not going to talk about the college experience. We'll just keep it at high school because
Well,
you guys get at it when it gets to the college experience.
we
So,
appreciate his Stanford education. God bless him. I'm not mad
so
because I actually love Stanford. I really do. I thought that was going to
oh,
be my first choice, but UC Berkeley came through, and I was like, like Berkeley, go Bears.
yes. So, Mark, this has been an incredible conversation.
Thank you.
It's one we you already know. You
tell
literally
tell
already know.
tell Pastor
But
we love him.
But this has been such a great conversation, Marty. Thank you for sharing your story. You
Thank
guys, thank
you.
you so much. Nicole, hello, darling. I know you're late. You have to go back. Your friend Marty is recovering from COVID and he tells his story. So you have to go back and listen. But you guys, thank you so much. College students
yes.
as well, going back to live in
Yes.
campus, online. Yeah, it's a lot. And I think, Marty, I do want you to leave us with one thing that we can take away as we're kind of processing all this.
Yes.
My thing is it's okay to not be okay and to not
It
have the
is.
answers. Even for
Yes.
my kids, I'm still navigating what that's going to look like. And
Right.
it is okay if I stumble. So
Yes.
I'm giving myself grace.
That's it.
I'm giving my kids grace. This is all new. I'm going to try to make the best of it that I can. And where I fall short, I fall short. But I just make a
Yes.
decision to give grace. That would be my thing, is give grace to
Wonderful.
yourselves and to your families. And then Marty, just leave us with something because it's a lot going on.
Yes. My words of encouragement would be this: we are the kings and queens of our own home. We
Mhm.
can take the advice of others, but you have to do what's best for your household. No one else can dictate what is best for your household but you. Have the conversations, encourage one another. I agree with you, Portia. It's okay not to be okay. It's okay not to have all the answers. It's okay to even change your mind. But you know what? Walk through each day knowing that you have made the best informed decision for
That's right.
yourself and your family, trusting God the entire way.
I love that, Marty. I love it, love it, love it. Thank you, as always, for jumping
Thank
on the
you.
show and being a part. Go drink more of your lemon water. Rest, rest, rest.
Yes, yes.
And thank you so much, Marty. How can we keep in touch with you?
Thanks for asking. Of course, you can always check me out on my podcast, Mental Health Matters with Marty. Yes, under Portia Scott Media. We are so glad that for that, and I will be dropping a new episode. Actually, I'm going to be dropping this whole thing about recovering through COVID and the mental health behind that this week. That's going to be this week's episode of Mental Health Matters with Marty in that regards as well. So, and then marcelconsulting.com and soon to be released, mentalhealthmarty.com.
Love it, Marty. Thank you so much. Thank you so
Thank
much for
you.
joining. And, we just love you so much. And we're so happy that you're
Likewise.
well.
Yes, thank you.
So we will see you next Sunday.
Yes.
You guys, this has been an incredible, incredible show. I'm so grateful every time that you guys show up and that you spend your time with us. So, we are here every single Sunday at 7 p.m. Listen, I want to make sure that you guys, that we can stay in touch with you, that you stay in
Yes.
touch with us. And the way that you do that is if you text the phrase wake up to 31996. That's wake up to 31996. Today, if you are already signed up, you got the text that we were going live, what we were talking about. Tomorrow, we have an incredible, incredible show. But listen, I want to make sure that you go over to YouTube and you subscribe to Portia Scott Media on YouTube, because as of tomorrow, we're switching over and that's where we will be. We got to tear the Band-Aid off. We have been kind of leaking it, but tomorrow we will be on YouTube. We have an incredible show with Sifana Samples, and we're really going to talk about navigating your emotions. She's going to tell about her powerful, powerful story and how she was able to reinvent her life and how navigating through her emotions has helped her do that. So, you guys, we want to make sure that you are there. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Raheem says, thank you for your transparency and informative show. Trey, love you. Portia, be safe. Trey, love you too. Thank you so much for joining, darling. We're going to make sure we get that administrator, somebody in here so we can talk through that. Trust God the entire way. That's good. Martinez Sellers says, Paula. Marquita says, you guys are the bomb. Thank you so much for sharing. You guys, thank you, thank you, thank you. We could
Yes.
not do this without you. I do want to remind everyone that we are partnered with an amazing organization called Caring for Girls, and we are continually fundraising so that we can ensure that girls in South Africa and other countries are able to get the sanitary supplies that they need. Research has shown that 51% of those girls miss school just because they don't have the hygiene products. And so you can be a part of that by a very small donation or large donation, but we just want to make sure that whatever you give will be given to a girl. For $21, you can support a girl for an entire year. So we are so thankful that you guys would partner with us in that. Yes. I run a very professional show. My husband is right here looking at me. And so y'all know, listen, one day we have met our financial goal. We are still $290 away from our goal.
I think you've met your goal.
You think I've met my goal? Oh, let's just check since
Drum roll.
people are over here seeing if we met our goal. You guys, listen. This is incredible. We are at 101% of our goal. But listen. We are continually raising money. So if you want to
Yes.
give, please don't let the fact that we met it not cause you to give. So you can still give. That's just more girls that we can support. Thank you, my love. Thank you so much. Where do we sow? So I just put the URL in the comments, Raheem. You can go there and have it as well. So it should be in the comments. You guys, let me know if you're in there, if you can see the URL in the comments. I can see it on my end, but I want to make sure that you guys can see it on your end. So yes, we are at 101% of our goal, you guys. That is amazing. I mean, we are going to be able to help these girls out. And so I'm super excited about that. So we are wrapping up. Oh, tell Paula you can't give hearts, but you can like the broadcast on YouTube. Yes, Paula. So you can't give hearts, girlfriend, but you can sure like on YouTube. And so we want to make sure that you guys are there. The thing about YouTube that is so incredible is the interaction. So the way that you guys interact on here, when you take that conversation over to YouTube, it's one of the things that they look at and they manage and say, oh, wow, people are listening and they're interacting. So that's the big part. So better than hearts is interactions. But Paula, I love you so much. Thank you so very much. Raheem said he did not see it on there. So what I'll do is, Raheem, I know you, so I will send you the link, cousin, once this is over. But what I'll also do is I'll put a link in the comment section. So when you go here, not the comments, but the actual description, so that you guys can go and you are able to give. Thank you guys for wanting to give. I'm going to wrap up because I've taken enough of your time. So you guys know how we do. Every single show, we end every single show with this declaration. Waking up is automatic. Showing up is intentional. Today, I will show up.